Hi and welcome to my channel, and in this video I'm gonna once again talk about the Moyu Puppet Cubes, more so focused on the Puppet Cube version 2, which is this one right here. And in case you hear any noises in the background, just so you know, it's my dog, so don't worry about it. And okay, so as you can see, this one I actually managed to solve. And part of the solve was just trial and error. I guess you could say it's kind of accidental. So I actually do not yet have a full strategy on how to fully solve this puzzle. But I will explain how I did solve it. And this one I did not yet solve. And so, okay, so the first step is solving the 2x2 corners. And sounds easy enough, but it's very difficult because you get bandaged on every turn, and like I mentioned in the previous video about these puzzles, these corners, they overlap each other, they overlap edges, and it causes really extreme bandaging. But what I was trying to do when I actually managed to solve the 2x2 portion of it is I was focused on specifically putting in these 3 corner pieces. So as I mentioned, there's 8 corners, 1 regular corner that's not bandaged. This is on the version 2x2, which is this one right here. Then you have 3 T corners, which are like these. You can see it's shaped kind of like a T. And these T corners all go around this 1 regular corner. So you have 1 right here. You turn it like this, number 2, number 3. And then the remaining corners are all the ones that look like the big ones right here. And this one is a fully solid corner, whereas these 3 on the sides, they have slots in them that allow them to overlap other pieces. So what I was focused on doing is trying to get specifically these 3 corners properly positioned in relation to this corner. And in the end, to basically put in the rest. And after, basically it took me probably about 2 weeks of playing around with it until I actually managed to do it. So it wasn't any specific strategy, it was pretty much trial and error at this point that allowed me to place all the corners as far as the 2x2 solve. Now, as far as the internal solve, and let me just show you that it is indeed solved on the inside as well. You can see if I turn, it's fully solved. If I turn each of these center slices, right here, fully solved. So the way that I did this, I actually had to develop my own algorithm in order to be able to solve this. And perhaps someone else has used this algorithm. I've personally never seen it, and I came up with it on my own. And I actually call this algorithm the meme algorithm, M-E-M-E, kind of like you see memes on social media. Like there's the soon algorithm, and this is the meme algorithm. And what it does is 3 cycles, 3 edge pieces. There's a clockwise version and a counterclockwise version. And that would be this little edge piece, this one, and that one back there. And what's special about it, it cycles these edges without moving any of the other pieces, corners or whatever. It only cycles these 3 edges. And the reason I call it the meme algorithm is because the essential moves in this algorithm require doing the M moves, which is like the middle slice, and the E, the equator moves, E moves. So M, E, M, E, and basically you have to do them in sets of 2. So it's M, E, M, E, which makes meme. Okay, so when I was solving this, already had the 2x2 corners solved. When I was solving the edges basically and the centers, what I did is first I intuitively solved 1 layer. So by which I mean, let's say for example, see this piece right here, this orange green. So all the pieces that have green, orange green, yellow green. On the inside there's a red green and there's a white green. These 2 are hidden. And so basically I solved this bottom layer as far as all the edges and the centers. And then I tried to solve a few of the other edges on the top 2 layers. And whatever I was left with, I was basically using this algorithm that I came up with. And additionally, once I reached that point where the bottom layer is solved and I had a few of the edges left, I reconstructed the scramble on a regular 3x3 so that it would allow me to see the hidden edges that are not yet solved. Because this way, when they're all hidden, you start to forget. It gets very, very confusing. So I used a regular 3x3 to assist me by reconstructing the scramble here so that I could see it here. And then I would attempt the algorithm here to see if it works and do it here. Now, the tricky part about this is the algorithm requires some face moves. Most of the moves are middle slice moves, which is why it works. But there are a few face slice moves, and that causes bandaging, so you could only do the algorithm on specific faces. For example, if you want to do the algorithm, as I call this, I guess you could say it's the clockwise version. So I'm just looking at my notes here. So in order to do the clockwise version, you need to have green as your top face, orange as your front, and yellow as your right face in order to start this algorithm to be able to do it. Otherwise, you end up getting bandaged. Another thing to mention is in order to do this algorithm, oftentimes you have to do a whole bunch of setup moves. 2, 3, sometimes 4, or even 5, 6 setup moves just to position the edges properly in order to put them all in. And also bearing in mind that you have to put them in the right way in, because sometimes you might think you're putting them in, but you actually put them in flipped. And then you have to do more of the same algorithm in different positions in order to get them back right. So let me show you what the algorithm is. I'll show it on a regular 3x3. And so what's going to happen here is this white and orange piece is going to go back there. And this green orange is going to go here. And this red and green red is going to go here. So the green red is going to basically go here with the green on top. So this piece is going to end up like that. This one is going to end up going here like this with the green in the front. And this one is going to go back here, if I remember correctly, with the orange on top. Okay, so the algorithm, in order to cycle these 3 pieces, you do U, R, and then you do 2M, E, 2M, E. And then you do undo the R that you did, so you do RI, undo the U that you did by doing UI, and then you do UI again. So basically you do 2U, and then you do R again. Now you do 2M, E, 2M, E. You undo the R again, so you do RI, and then you undo the UI that you did by doing U, and you see, just as we predicted, we have all the pieces, these 3 cycled. And it might look like a difficult algorithm, and it's pretty long, but you have to break it down into smaller segments, as you always have to do with algorithms. That's how you memorize them. So look at them as sections. So the intro moves, you have 2 intro moves. I'll do it again. So you have the R, no, my mistake. We start with the U and the R. These are the 2 intro moves. Now the middle moves are 2M, E, 2M, E. Now we undo the intro moves by doing RI, RI, UI, and then we do U. This is the second portion, so it's like a continuation. This is part 2 repeating, except now it's kind of, instead of doing U, we do a UI, and then we do R again, and then we do 2M, which is the middle moves, E, 2M, E. And now we undo it again. So we do RI to undo the R that we did, and we do a U to undo the UI that we did. And once again, it cycled these edges. And if we do it a 3rd time, it's going to put them all in place. So let's do that now. So we do U, R, 2M, E, 2M, E, RI, 2U, which is a UI, and then again a UI, and then R, and then 2M, E, 2M, E, RI, U. And you see it solves the puzzle. Now, that was the clockwise version. The reason I say it's clockwise because this piece goes from here to back there. This one goes to here, and this one goes to here. So it goes in this kind of motion. Now we can do the same counterclockwise, which is basically a mirror version of this algorithm, which this piece is going to go back there, this one here, and this one here. So it's going to go like that. And the reason it's important to know both variants is because sometimes if you do the algorithm from one side, it might put in all the pieces right, but they're going to be flipped backwards, like inverted. Like this orange would be on top and this green would be here. And if you reverse the algorithm by doing it from this side, then you could put them in the right way. And it works the same exact way I'll demonstrate now. So everything is a mirror version. So the setup move, instead of doing a U, we do a UI as our start move. Then we do an LI. And then we do the same thing, 2M. And now we do an EI, 2M, EI. Now we do an L. And then we do U to undo the UI, and then we do a second U, so we do 2U, and then we do LI, and then we do 2M, EI, 2M, EI, L, and then we do a UI, and you see it cycled the pieces. And so let's do that 2 more times in order to return them. So once again, we do a UI. Also, I should mention, very important to note, I don't know actually if it's going to make a significant difference because I haven't really tested it out. But if you notice, when I do the 2M and the E, with this mirror version, I do an EI, which is on the middle equator slice. I turn it counterclockwise. Whereas in the original algorithm, when I was swapping from this side, I was doing an E turn. So I was turning the equator clockwise. Okay, so let's begin. So UI, LI as our setup moves, 2M, EI, 2M, EI, L to undo our setup moves, and then we do U, and then we do again U, and then we do LI, 2M, EI, 2M, EI, L, UI. Cycle these pieces again, and last time is going to put them all in their proper places. So once again, UI, LI as our setup moves, 2M, EI, 2M, EI, undo our setup moves, L, U, and then again U, LI, which is like a part 2 of the algorithm, 2M, EI, 2M, EI, undo our setup moves by doing L and UI, and we've solved the puzzle. Now, let me just demonstrate why you have to have this positioned properly in order to be able to do this algorithm. So, let's suppose I want to do with the yellow in the front, the green on top, and the red to my right. And let's say I want to do the clockwise algorithm. Cycle this piece with this piece and the one that's hidden back there. I'm going to get blocked. And so whenever I do this, I have to test it out first to see if I'm going to get blocked or not. So I know the setup moves with the face turns. In this case, with the clockwise algorithm would be U. And then I do R. So this way I don't get blocked. From here on, I do only middle slice turns and equator turns. So that's, so that's fine. Then the next portion of the algorithm would be, I would have to do RI, UI, and then UI again. And then I would have to do R again. And you see, I can't do R because it's blocked right here. So I wouldn't be able to do that algorithm from this position. But as I worked out, if I do it with the green on top, orange in front, and yellow to my right, I can do it, and I test it out. So once again, the setup moves would be U, R. I'm able to do it, then all the middle slice turns, then I undo the R by doing RI, UI, and then I do UI again. Then I have to do R again. I'm able to do it. So from here, I can do this full algorithm. Now, if I want to do the counterclockwise version of the algorithm, I actually have to turn the cube this way. Yellow in front, green on top, and orange to my left with the red to my right. So from here, I could do the left-sided version. So I would do a UI, LI. You see that works, and then I do all my middle slice moves, and I do the LI by doing L, U, and then I do again U, and then I do another LI. So I'm able to do it. But if I try the left side algorithm from this face, it's not gonna work. Let's see, UI, and then LI, that works fine. I undo the LI, do a U, and then another U, and I try to do my L, it's blocked, so I can't do it from this side. So there may be other faces where you could do it from, but I personally just found it easier to memorize these specific positions. So if I want to do the clockwise version, I do it with green on top, orange in front, yellow to my right. If I want to do the counterclockwise version, yellow in front, green on top, orange to my left. Another thing that's very important to mention, when you do these moves, including setup moves or whatever, and you turn the face turns, very, very important not to turn the middle slice with it, because it happens by accident, and I've done it numerous times before, and it just messed up a lot of what I've done. So for instance, let's say you want to do a U, and then you do an R, but you accidentally turn it like this, you're going to mess everything up. And so it's very important to turn only the outer faces when you need to turn the outer faces, and not to turn the middle slices with them. And so the last thing I'll mention is briefly about setups. So for example, with setup moves, a lot of it you could do by just moving the middle slices, and you should do it that way preferably, because if you start doing setup moves with, you know, turns like that, first of all, you're probably going to end up getting blocked. You're going to get, you know, blocked moves that you won't be able to turn. Second of all, it messes up the cube, and you might lose your perspective, and you might up just messing up the entire cube. So when you do setup moves, let's say for example, I want to, let's see, swap this piece right here, this one, and this one. Now, in this case it's easy because I just move this slice up. Now I have this piece where I want it, that piece back there, and this piece here. Actually, let me say it again. So let's say I want to swap these two and this one, because this is like the clockwise version face. So I would move this up. Now I have this piece where I want it, the other piece in the back where I want it, and this piece positioned here, and I could do the algorithm, and then I just undo this slice. And you could get more complicated with it as well. Let's suppose that I want to, you know, some other piece. Sometimes you could do a face turn, and you have to do middle slices, middle slice turns, undo the face turn in order to position everything. Then you do your algorithm, and then you undo everything. And me personally, normally I don't write down notes for any of the puzzles that I solve. But with this one, I really didn't want to mess it up because it took me so long to figure it out. So I've been writing down notes. Whenever I do any of the setup moves, the middle slices or whatever, I write down every single move for that setup, including writing down what was my front face, top, and right. So this way, if I happen to forget it after the algorithm, I could review the notes and I can undo that setup move. Now, like I said, normally with most puzzles, I don't do that, even with the difficult ones that I've solved. But with this one, I just didn't want to risk messing it up. So yeah, so that's that. Like I said, I don't have a full strategy yet for solving the 2x2 portion of it. It was just trial and error, playing around with it, that got me to that point. Hopefully, either I'll figure it out or maybe someone else will, and they'll post a tutorial. But as far as the middle portions, the slices, that's the method that I used. And for this puzzle here, I haven't worked it out yet. And I haven't really tried with this one for like the past week or so. I've been more focused on this one. But now that I got this one solved, I'm going to focus more on this one and to see if I could figure it out as well. But so far, and as I mentioned before, this is the difference between this and this, is that this one has the fused QB. So see this piece in there, that's blue, red, and yellow. It's In this case, the blue, red, and yellow here is equivalent to the orange, blue, and yellow on this puzzle. And like if we took this little cubie and fused it together with the edges and centers around it to make this big cube, that's what we get there. And for the most part, it makes the solve more difficult, in my opinion. You could argue that it makes aspects of it simpler in the sense that, you know, it scrambles less because of the bandaging, but at the end of the day, you're bandaged more, so it's more difficult in my opinion. So yeah, so that's my video for today, and hope you enjoyed, and hope you find it useful, and thank you for watching. Until next time.